I hope you're doing well today, or tonight's video. I've got 101 Viking facts. 101. I like doing fact videos that are usually bigger numbers, that way there's just more to talk about, So when I saw like 101, I'm like, okay, I gotta do it. Because Vikings, I think they're pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. But I don't know how, like, what kind of facts these might be. So a couple of them might be a little gruesome. So if you don't like stuff like that, or you just like, maybe don't listen to this. But I think they'll be okay. Vikings were, they're just kind of savages. So just adds up. I don't know. Could be totally fine. Number one, Vikings were very clean people, at least by comparison to other people at the time. Oh, I didn't know that. See, we're starting off actually pretty interesting. I assumed Vikings were more just like dirty and like bloody, and you know what I mean? Like, weren't really careful about their hygiene. But I guess not. A Viking's most treasured weapon was his sword. They were handed down generations via inheritance, were often named and could be inscribed with runes by talented smiths to magically increase their power. Damn, imagine if people did that today. Imagine if like our military had people inscribe stuff. Is it inscribe? I'm pretty sure they said inscribe. Yeah. Imagine if they had people inscribe stuff. It just sounds wrong for some reason. And like the weapons that we give soldiers and stuff, people would be like, what the hell are you doing? It's crazy how much we've went from like magic to science in such a short amount of time, isn't it? Viking longships could carry at least 60 men. That's a lot, really, 60. Viking longships, yeah, I guess, right? Because they have like all the rowers, right? So I guess, yeah. That's crazy though. The nursery rhyme, London Bridge is falling down, could be linked to a Viking named Olaf the Stout, who fixed cables from longships to the bridge and pulled it into the Thames. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that either. Viking pastimes included a Norse ball game called, oh, I'm gonna butcher this, Natalaklir. I don't know. Natalaklir, I don't know, It's fun to say though, Natalaklir, which means ball game. Interesting, okay. It's straightforward. So onion soup was fed to the injured to identify injuries that were beyond training. Really? So like if you're gonna die, you're fed onion soup, that way people know you're gonna die. Wow. That's crazy. It's a little dark. That's like putting like an X on them, saying like, oh yeah, that person's done for. That's wow. Vikings played piggy in the middle with rolled up bear skins. What? Okay. I mean, I don't know what piggy in the middle is, but I mean, they used bear skins, so it must be pretty intense by itself. Most Viking boots were made of goat skin. Buttons hadn't been invented yet, so toggles, clasps, and brooches were used. Makes sense. Some Vikings attached thrusting spikes to the center of their shields to adapt them for offense as well as defense. Everybody attended a big meal called the Thing. They called the big meal the Thing. I guess that's like, what are you going to? Oh yeah, I'm going to the thing. I'm going to the thing. I can't speak. I'm going to the thing. Are you going to the thing? Yeah, I'm going to the thing. There were no toilets on long ships. Well, yeah, it was just like one giant piece of wood, wasn't it? Vikings navigated using bearing dials, astronomy, lodestones, sunstones, releasing captured birds when they thought they were near land. I thought that was really cool when I heard that, like the bird thing. Apparently, if you don't, a lot of you probably know, if you don't know, what they would do is they would take a bird in a cage and they'd let it go and they'd throw it up. And the theory is that if there's land nearby, the bird would fly to it and land. But if there's no land nearby, the bird would fly, look around, come back, and then land on the boat because it's the only safe place to be. And that's how they would know. I thought that was so smart. It's like, damn, bro. Eric the Red was so violent that even fellow Vikings objected, exiling him from both Norway and Iceland. Really? How can you be so violent that Vikings objected you? Wow. Rejected you. Objected. Is objected the right? That doesn't sound like the right word. I feel like it'd be Vikings rejected you. I guess they objected what you were doing. They objected to what you were doing. I can't think properly. Vikings believed in two groups of gods, the Aegir and the Vanir. I didn't know that. I thought it was just kind of like the Norse gods, you know. Thursday is named after Thor, god of thunder. God of thunder. Bro, imagine if like gods were actually Vikings. Like if they were actually Vikings and they came to take over your village and it's just a god and there's nothing you could do about it. You're just helpless. Like that would suck so much. At least you got to see Thor though. That'd be pretty cool. Bylaws in England are called that. Bylaws in England are called that because in Viking times, by meant village. So Grimsby was a village where a Viking called Grim lived, and Kirkby village is the village with the church. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I like how little things are connected like that. Vikings loved riddles, sagas, stories, and songs. Well, I mean, yeah, if you're on a boat for like days, months at a time, you're gonna like singing because it's the only thing you have to do. On average, Vikings would live to around their 40s. Would live to be around 40. I don't know why. I feel like the wording in some of these are so weird. I'm trying to like fix it, but it's on average, Vikings would live to be around 40. That's actually a lot higher than I expected for Vikings. Because I think they usually started fighting when they were like, maybe like, I don't even know. Because they started like learning to fight really, really young. I guess it's just dependent on their skill level, right? Children would be considered adults by the age of 12. Oh, there you go. So I guess 12 is when they would start fighting. The Viking diet was good and varied, accounting for their height not dissimilar to our own. That's pretty cool. Again, I would assume it was pretty bland, but there were three main classes in Viking society. Earls, who were noblemen, Carls, who were average free Vikings, and thralls, who were slaves. I guess there's classes in every society, you know, you can't really help it, which just kind of sucks, but you know, it's gotta be what it's gotta be. King Canute was the first Viking of England. King Canute. It's a funny name. That's pretty cool though, a Viking king of England. Damn. Viking runes were shaped using angular strokes for ease when carving into wood. Oh, that's pretty cool too. Vikings' teeth were ground down by the grit in their bread. Oh really? So they were like soft teeth. They're probably like ground down. Does it mean like sharp? I don't think ground down would be sharp. I think it means like they'd have very like small and like flat teeth. Many trades had workshops with 3 or 4 craftsmen of different ages and skill working to become master craftsmen. The famous Jelling stone was raised by King Harold Bluetooth in the 960s. I don't know what the Jelly Stone is, but his name is Bluetooth, so maybe it has something to do with that. You know. divorce for reasons like their husband showing too much chest hair. What? They would divorce for reasons like their husbands are showing too much chest hair. You know, for a Viking, I didn't think that'd be one of their main priorities, but Viking houses in England were made of wattle, which means wooden sticks. There were 2 meals a day meal and a night meal, a day meal and a night meal. Pro carpenters for longboats were paid well, acknowledging their great art, which is evidence of Viking sensibilities, sometimes forgotten. I mean, yeah, they have to be pretty sensible to be as powerful as they were, right? If they were just like complete savages, then I don't think they would have gotten very far. Silver armbands were popular among the rich. Interesting. Battles started at a distance with projectiles like arrows and rocks from slings. Ordeals were a test of bravery to sort out arguments by picking stones out of hot water or carrying hot iron for 9 paces. That's nuts. That's nuts. Vikings loved brightly colored clothes, using woad for blue, weld for yellow, and madder for red. Norse boats were very well made and were often named. Yeah, they're like boats. You think that's why boats today are named stuff? Like, you know, whenever you have like the big boats, there's always this stuff with the name on the back. I wonder where that comes from. A baldric was a shoulder strap to carry a sword. I don't know how to pronounce that. The Danegeld was an example of Viking extortion, promising protection for gold. The historical Macbeth submitted to Viking King Canute in 1031, along with Malcolm and Eamark. What? Vikings were great traders, taking bronze scales with them on trips to weigh money and metals. Vikings wanted to die in battle in order to make it to Valhalla, the Norse afterlife for brave fallen warriors. I thought that was interesting too. Like they have a place that they would go to if they died in battle. So it kind of convinced the soldiers to fight as hard as they could, because if they won, it was a victory and they were like congratulated and whatever. But if they lost, then they got to go to where they wanted to go, which was like the heaven of the best warriors. So it's a win-win either way. And I mean, if you're going into battle with a mindset of either way it's a win-win, I mean, that could be good and bad, you know, like, I don't know. In the year 1000, at the Iceland Althing, King Olaf ensured the peaceful adaptation of Christianity by Vikings. He was later sainted for it by the Roman Catholic Church. Viking women died earlier than men due to the dangers of childbirth, usually by the age 35. It must have been so scary having to give birth to a child back then, before we had some kind of like knowledge about what to do to make it safer, because the death rate must have been so high. Like, even today there are so many complications, and yet we have all of this technology and all of this knowledge. Like, back then it must have been so scary to have to go through that. Fish was eaten throughout the year and smoked on roofs for preservation, with herring, haddock, cod, and trout being common. In 939 AD, Vikings from Dublin conquered the whole country, and England was as one. Rich Vikings enjoyed imported wine from Germany, ate from metal plates, employed skalds for epic poetry, rode horses, and had wives described as pretty, slender, and wise. I guess because you're messing with human nature, right? Because like if you think about it that way, when you're born, if something happens to you, then like that's like God's plan, you know? So if you have medicine, then you're messing with God's plan. So I guess they didn't like that. I don't know what they were thinking, because yeah, it's weird. I don't know. I wonder. That would suck though, being like, oh yeah, that guy's having medicine because he has the same injury that you do, so he's gonna live and you're not. Like that would suck. Vikings believed that good health. I already read that. Blood sports were popular, including bear baiting and horse fighting, or for poorer folk cockfighting. What's bear baiting? Would bear baiting just be like you're baiting a bear to come fight you? Bro, imagine fighting a bear. These people were insane. Vikings grew the flax plant for spinning into linen. Norsemen made torches from marsh grass called lisiv for lighting the home. That's pretty cool. There must have been so many fires back then because there's just like torches everywhere lighting everything, you know. Long ships could travel up to 200 kilometers per day. That's actually far. 200 kilometers per day. That must have been a lot of work. Although swords were double-edged, the Sikhs, which was a knife worn by all free Vikings, were single-bladed. The first Viking raid was Lindisfarne in 793. Vikings believed in fate and thought the three Norns ruled over the past, the present, and the future. The Danelaw was the part of England where Danish or Viking law held sway. Bone combs were stronger than antler ones. York was a great trading settlement called Jorvik. Norse people used whale and seal skins to make stronger ship's rope. Whale skins, man. Cannot imagine like hunting a whale, that's crazy. Vikings took scary figureheads of their longship prows when sailing in friendly waters so as to not offend the gods. Oh, they took it off their longships. Okay, I got you. I was confused there for a second. I feel like these videos are like the worst time for me to do thinking because I'm like not fully awake. So it goes in through one ear and then it gets like jumbled, and instead of going out the other ear, it just goes back out the first ear. So half the time I'm like, what? But that's okay. That's okay. Buckets must have held a lot more significance than now, and there were probably several wooden ones about the house. I guess, yeah, because you need it for like water and stuff. Nowadays we don't really use buckets that much at all. I mean, here and there, but you know. The famous 12th century Lewis chessmen are carved from walrus ivory to look like Vikings, but we can't be certain that Vikings played chess. I'm gonna butcher this name too. Nafadalafel is a similarly strategic game they enjoyed though. Yeah, I'm not even gonna try with that one. I'm not even gonna try. I can barely read it. If chainmail or iron helms were too expensive, some Vikings opted for padding, leather tunics, and leather helmets. I mean, I don't know, because it's good to have the really like strong gear, but at the same time it would make you heavier, right? So wouldn't it be, I don't know, I guess it depends on the fighter, how big they are. Before, and sometimes even after Christianity took hold, Viking chieftains were sent into the afterlife on a burning longship with many of his possessions around him. I've seen that and it's so cool. Okay, hear me out. I don't really know what I want people to do with my body when that's not awesome. You can't say that's not awesome. Although I think it's pretty illegal nowadays. I think it'd be pretty illegal if you did something like that. You need permission and like your own body of water or something. And even then, like burning a body, I'm pretty sure is illegal pretty much anywhere, isn't it? I actually don't know. Anyways. Wielded overhead at maximum velocity, Dane axes were capable of cutting through iron helmets and down through a skull, coming to rest at around about the teeth. Oh my god. That must have been scary as hell, imagine. Vikings may have traveled by camel on trading expeditions to far-flung places. By camel? Really? Wow. I've never thought about a Viking on a camel before. Writing gave a man power. Runes were believed to have come from Odin himself when he sacrificed himself on Yggdrasil, the world tree, and wrested them from the underworld. Tearing them from the roots of the tree. Yeah, man, runes are supposed to be really powerful. Really, really powerful. Don't take them for granted. Great trading settlements, including Jorvik, Novgorod, and Kiev in modern-day Russia. Oh, they're Russian. As well as Barka in Sweden, Kaupang in Norway, and Hedeby in Germany. Then Denmark. Traded routes stretched at least as far as Constantinople, Istanbul, then called Mikkelgard by Vikings, and Jerusalem. That was way too hard to follow. Did you follow that? I barely followed it. Now no one reading it. Norse craftsmen used lathes for working amber and jet, and pole lathes for turning wood. Okay. I think this guy's just showing off using all these words that I don't know. There were 3 main festivals. Oh, more words. Okay. Petrablot in mid-October, Jolablot in mid-Vetarblot in mid-January, and Sikublot in April. Christian Vikings believed that building bridges and roads helped your soul go to heaven. Building bridges and roads helped your soul go to heaven. Like, just any bridge. If you just build a simple bridge, you're gonna go to heaven. Interesting. Skipton was named so by Vikings as the sk sound was easier to say. Before then, it had been Shipton, literally ship down. Most sk words are Vikings, like skim, scatter, scab, screech, skirt, skill, etc. They're like trigger words almost. Skim, scatter, scab, screech, skirt, skill, etc. Skim, scatter, scab, screech, skirt, skill, etc. That's fun to say. Vikings loved to trade insults in a friendly way. The traditional northern greeting, "Hey up," is Viking. Hey up. I've never heard that, but I mean, I'm not northern, so I don't know. It is thought that slaves may have been named after physical features or the task they typically performed. We won't give examples for fear of offending. It's probably a good idea. Yeah. Damn, imagine your name was just like Big Forehead or something. That'd be so mean. Oh man. That's unfortunate. Homes could be made warmer by digging a pit over which they were constructed. That's pretty smart. Young children's lives were determined by their parents' status, so a child of a slave would automatically become a slave. However, a strong meritocracy meant that in adult life, both wealth and status could be attained. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I might not have. Okay, you know what? It's fine. We are still discovering hoards of coins today, believed to have been buried in panic after the great Viking army invaded in 865 AD. Imagine finding hidden treasure, like buried treasure from Vikings or whatever. That'd be so cool. I'm telling you, plus scuba diving is like one of my favorite things to do. So, Vikings used an outdoor privy enclosed by wattle, and wiped their bottoms with sheep's wool, moss, or similar. Usually, nasty. Wood was extremely important 1,000 years ago. It still is. Wood was traded for precious metals. Oh, really? Vikings believed that the fabric of the universe itself was held together by the world ash, Yggdrasil, which connected the 9 worlds. Longships were made of light oak with a heavier pine mast, decks, and oars. Longbows were made of yew and arrows of birch. That's crazy. Imagine wood being worth more money than like metals. That's pretty cool. Viking economies were built on precious metals. Oh, never mind. I guess they weren't. I guess I misunderstood. Or maybe this contradicts itself. Coins meant little to Vikings other than being valued by their weight and used as bullion, often melted down to become ingots or jewelry. Vikings made soap from congers, and if you book a Viking visit, the children will have the opportunity to handle some. Book a Viking visit where? Maybe I'm reading this on a Viking town website. I don't know. I'm not gonna click book a visit just in case. Modern evidence of our genealogical roots is clear in the difference between ancient accents and language usage across the division of A5. The A5, I think that says, I don't know. In Anglo-Saxon times, this was and still is known as Watling Street, an old Roman road. It later marked the border between the Danelaw and Alfred the Great's Anglo-Saxon kingdom. There is just a stone's throw between Nuneaton and Hinckley near where we live, and it is very noticeable. I think this video has the most words I cannot pronounce properly that I've ever made. But you know what? It's fine. You live and you learn. Coppergate, literally Cup Street, in York, was where cup makers carried out their craft and trade in Jorvik. Believers in the Old Norse religion made bronze statues of Thor, holding his hammer, the mighty Mjolnir, with which he made the thunder and lightning. It's weird how that Thor ended up as a superhero in comic books, and now he's an Avenger and stuff. Even though he was this god back then, it's fascinating. Life was bound by the seasons, and it was said that the plowman feeds us all. In 851 AD, a fleet of 350 Viking ships attacked London via the River Thames. 350 ships. That's a lot, especially back then. 350 ships. Many place names owe a lot to Old Norse. Thorpe means settlement. Thwaite, a clearing for pasture. Wick, a harbor. Dale, a valley. Garth, an enclosure. A beck, a stream. Vikings drove the Picts and Scots from northern territories, and Norse, full of whole Norse families, populated the areas. Some men married local women and set to farming the land. William the Conqueror was the grandson of Viking King Rollo, so Normans were 2 generations removed from being Norsemen. Bifrost was a rainbow bridge which connected Asgard to Midgard, Earth, and can still be seen on rainy days when sunshine follows. I feel like half the trouble I'm having with this is that they put the text, when they wrote all this down, they put the text in this. They wanted it to look like it's older, so it's kind of it's just a weird text and it's blending together, and there's already so many words that I can't read. It's what is going on? It is difficult to reconstruct any consistent conception Jeez. Eight. 8 cows for a woman. 8 cows for a woman. Bro. It's so weird how we related people to like animals back then. Like, how do you say, oh yeah, that person over there is worth 8 cows, and that person over there is worth, what did I say, 24 cows? Like, what? So weird to think about people selling other people for cows. Okay, we're not even gonna get into that. It's not a good topic. It's not a good topic. Wrestling was popular for recreation, for more serious sport, and sometimes to settle disputes. The 9 worlds were Asgard, Vanaheim, Alfheim, Midgard, Jotunheim, Svartalfheim, Muspelheim, Niflheim, and Hel. After a just divorce, men were required to pay their ex-wives maintenance payments. Really? Even back then? Huh? Wow, I didn't realize how long that's been going back. The law speaker reads out all the society's rules at the annual All-Thing so that even illiterate people would know right from wrong. Good for them. Firstborn girls and sickly babies were probably killed or abandoned in hopes of receiving a son. What? That's crazy, bro. Goddamn. Pastimes included dice games, ball games, board games, and music. Imagine a bunch of Vikings just sitting there playing Monopoly, you know? Valkyrie were the choosers of the slain on the battlefield, and then handmaidens to those that made it to Valhalla. All of the following could feature in the Viking diet: seagull, horse, seal, moose, whale, and walrus. I think I'd give any of those a go over the fish head soup. Fish head soup, that does not sound very good. At mealtimes, tables and stools were set up. Many would eat on their laps, though. Knives and natural forks were used. Fingers. Oh. Okay, well, yeah, that's 101 facts about Vikings for you. I hope you enjoyed the video and enjoyed how bad I was at reading